Hello, so I will be speaking on group three, and our presentation is going to be on the organization Beyond Blindness, Building Bright Futures for Children. And the group members for this group is going to be Malia, Alec, Jocelyn, Evie, and Taylor, along with some assistance from the manager of the early intervention program at Beyond Blindness, whose responsibilities include being in charge of all the in-home clients as well as classrooms. To give us with some information in regards to the presentation. So the criteria we're going to address amongst this presentation is going to include, first and foremost, the background of Beyond Blindness, the health problem and target population, health promotion methods, evaluation methods, the barriers and challenges, as well as some recommendations. So a little bit about Beyond Blindness. They were formerly known as the Blind Children's Learning Center, but then recently adapted to a new name, which is Beyond Blindness, because they wanted to more accurately and positively represent the organization as who they are now in regards to what they've come from 60 years. They are a nonprofit organization established in 1962, 60 years ago, who first and foremost want to empower and assist and help those children who suffer from visual impairments and other disabilities that may include blindness or partial blindness. They just want to be able to help them live their lives as best and smoothly as possible. They understand and they want to be a guide for them. So after 60 years, to this day, they want to celebrate over more than 300 kids they've been helping that deal with the visual impairments. Through the help, they offer services including education and enrichment, early intervention, and family support. They involve all these services through, therapy locations, the classroom environment, as well as other environments, which will be talked about more later in the presentation. But they do include those services first and foremost for all of the clients. And they heavily advocate for having a support team that embraces family connection, impact, stewardship, and optimism. So first and foremost for family, they understand and they acknowledge that the disability not only affects the individual who has it, but as well as the family. So they want to be able to support not only the child, but as well as the family and let them know that they're going to receive the best treatment as possible. Connection, they want to be able to have a positive and a strong connection amongst the child, as well as anybody who isn't part of the organization, which may include, volunteers, donors, as well as staff. Impact, they want to be able to get measurable results. They want to be able to achieve success amongst each child through their services in order to ensure that they have a great journey being at Beyond Blindness. Stewardship, they want to invest in their resources wisely as well as responsibly for now, as well as through the entire time that the child is with Beyond Blindness, as well as even after once they've achieved a good status and go on with the rest of their lives. As well as optimism, they want not only themselves, but as well as child and their families to always have the best peace of mind and hope for the best results, because that's the best way that we can help each other as well as everyone around them, including the family and those who engage in the services. And a quote that is listed in the Beyond Blindness website is from a father of a child who was enrolled in Beyond Blindness. His age was 10. And the quote was, "How do you explain a blind person what a cloud or the moon is? How do you go about describing that as a parent? This is an almost impossible place because you need the immediate early intervention." It just shows how much this program can help, as well as assisting in any type of other therapy services that they might need. Thank you.
The specific program from Beyond Blindness that we will be focusing on is their early intervention program. This program aims at addressing childhood blindness in children from birth up to 3 years of age. Specifically, this program aims at treating children who live in Orange County, California. However, while based in Orange County, California, Beyond Blindness hopes that the influence of the early intervention program will expand past Orange County to neighboring counties and beyond. Beyond Blindness's early intervention program aims at addressing childhood blindness and visual impairment in children from birth to 3 years of age. Ideally, intervention would occur in a patient's life as early as possible. Such early intervention can make a drastic difference in a child's visual journey as they age. Early intervention is meant to help children overcome obstacles that are caused by visual impairment, as well as overcome and potentially avoid any vision or developmental delays that could be caused by visual impairment. The Beyond Blindness therapists are specially trained to focus on early interventions with the ultimate goal of improving the lives of children with visual impairments. The early intervention program utilizes multiple intervention methods to reach their target population. These methods include home-based interventions with vision stimulation, access to therapy services, access to low vision clinics and toddler classrooms, an introduction to age-appropriate assistive technology, access to counseling, patient access to a licensed social worker, access to a reliable resource center, access to multiple inclusive family events, and the receiving of both transitional and individualized education plans, or IEP, support.
Program. It serves children from birth to the age of 3 years old, and this program is made to help visually impaired children overcome any obstacles or delays that they may face. It also helps children with a wide range of delays, and it works to improve their motor skills, their social emotional skills, and their self-reliance or self-help. Some of the services offered are the in-home classroom and the on-campus classrooms. So the in-home classroom basically brings school to the child's house. And this specializes in parental education. So there's a lot of parental involvement and external support. It also promotes the child's growth and learning. And then the on-campus classroom aims to help the children socialize with each other, as well as prepare them for the upcoming school years. And then also offered under the early intervention program is the 3 different therapies. So there's the speech therapy, the occupational therapy, and the physical therapies. And the speech therapy basically helps to improve the children's communication skills. So some of the specific activities in speech therapy include learning sign language if the child is nonverbal, as well as learning to use any adaptive technology. The occupational therapy helps the children with their motor skills. So it also helps with their sensory processing and their self-reliance and their self-help as well. And the occupational therapy is very important for visually impaired children to have early on in their lives. And then some of the activities that they may practice in occupational therapy are activities such as just holding crayons or markers, as well as just feeding themselves. Lastly, the physical therapy helps the children's mobility, and a specific activity that they may practice is learning how to use adaptive equipment such as their canes. Some children may need all 3 therapies. Some may need just one or none at all, which means that they will just participate in the classrooms. That really all just depends on a case-to-case basis. Some students may have different delays than others, and this is all taken into account for how often they are seen. And then in regards to how often the children are seen, early intervention services varies based on both the insurance and the needs of the child. So for example, some students may be seen 4 hours per month or just 1 hour per week. They can also be seen just twice a month or once a month, and that just depends on how well they're doing, so their progress as well as their insurance. And then in regards to the insurance and the participation in the early intervention program, to be able to participate with the center, the participants will, or the parents will get referrals from the regional center. And these referrals will allow the child to join a program and will also place them in a program. And then when the child has joined, the parents will use that insurance, will use their own insurance to cover the expenses of the program. And if there's a case where the parents either don't have insurance or their insurance simply does not cover the programs, the regional center will actually take care of the expenses, which means that the parents will not have to cover any expenses. So in conclusion, the dosage depends on the case of the child, their needs, their progress, and their insurance to place them in a program.
Hi class, my name is Malia and I'll be going over evaluation methods. So, BCLC evaluates their early intervention program through progress reports, which are collected every 6 months. A child gets a contract or renews their contract every 6 months for a regional center to see the individual growth and whether the intervention they were placed in is effective. Based on a child's condition, they may have a variety of therapists, which are all required to write these progress reports. The image right here on the right hand side is called the Insight Developmental Checklist, which therapists use as a guideline to refer to when they are measuring and evaluating the skills the child acquired. So this checklist includes 7 criteria, starting with cognition, communication, such as receptive and expressive, gross motor, fine motor, taction, audition, and vision. And so, again, depending on the child's condition, the aspects such as knowledge, behavior, and attitude may be confined within these 7 criteria or be measured individually. And so each therapist will then write their own progress reports to present to the regional center. Summative evaluation fits this program the best because the progress reports are collected every 6 months after the intervention. From there, this will allow the therapist and regional center to decide the next phase of planning. And the evaluation design for this program would be pre-experimental because there is no randomization nor comparison group. So with much consideration of BCLC's early intervention program, additional ways to strengthen this evaluation design would include using external sources such as getting the parents involved and getting the parental support. Some examples may include using feedback forms or checklists to provide additional information and supplement what their child is doing in the intervention. This will provide a resourceful way to measure the program's effectiveness in a home setting. And another way to strengthen the design is accepting all forms of insurance. This will allow BCLC to have a larger client base that they can attend to and also provide their services to. So with that being said, I will pass on this next section to Alec, who will be covering barriers and challenges.
There are some barriers associated with trying to run this program. The first of which is going to be starting treatment at a young enough age. This is a early intervention program, which includes children anywhere from 3 months old to 3 years old. So it's going to be very important to start them at the right age. One study found that beginning treatment with the visually impaired at 1 to 3 years saw significantly better visual performance than children who started treatment late in life. So that kind of shows the importance of getting children in the program and starting to do the intervention work at a young age, which is appropriate for the program, rather than waiting till later on in life. The second barrier is going to be getting enough clients. Beyond Blindness currently has about 300 children that they have in their program, but they operate within Orange County, which has a population of over 3 million people. So they are looking to expand the amount of children they can reach, but they've been having a hard time getting more children to join the program. The final barrier we're going to cover today is going to be getting enough funding. Beyond Blindness is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. This means that all their funding comes from either government grants, private foundations, or personal donations from the public. This does help them operate. It's like enough to get by, but it is hard for them to do all the things they want, buy all the equipment they need, and hire all the personnel they need to run an effective intervention program without having larger amounts of funding. So that's one of the things that they struggle with. One of the recommendations we have for Beyond Blindness is going to be to increase advertising to try to expand their client base. Like we said, one of their main problems is not having enough clients. So trying to expand would be a good idea. And like we said, again, they do operate in Orange County, which is pretty densely populated. So there is an opportunity to expand and to have some growth and incorporate more kids into their program.
Another recommendation for Beyond Blindness is to increase fundraising. One of the main barriers Beyond Blindness faces is the lack of funding. One of the main events that is held during this year by Beyond Blindness is their Destination Independence Walk and Family Fair. This event invites individuals and businesses alike to participate in a non-competitive walk to help raise money for the organization. The event is funded by sponsor donations. Past sponsors for this event have included Union Bank and the Retina Associates of Orange County, to name a few. Another yearly fundraiser Beyond Blindness holds is called the Dr. Frank Villalobos Fall Golf Classic. The purpose of this event is meant to encourage children with vision impairments to attempt sports that may be difficult for the visually impaired, such as golf. This event is also sponsor funded, with the main sponsor being the Villalobos family. While such events have been able to bring in fundraising in the past, Beyond Blindness ultimately needs more fundraising sources. In order to reach their full potential, Beyond Blindness must create more fundraising projects to generate more income for the organization. Some possible fundraisers could be additional walks other than Destination Independence, and possibly fundraising fairs or door-to-door collection. By doing so, Beyond Blindness would be able to expand upon their influence and reach a much broader audience.
Our final recommendation is going to be to expand knowledge on Beyond Blindness. Our thought process here is that the more people know about Beyond Blindness, the more likely they'll be willing to join the program. So this is something we could implement by partnering with hospitals and other medical care facilities and having them maybe hand out pamphlets or just talk to patients who have visually impaired young children and see if they would be at all interested in joining Beyond Blindness and trying to just tell them a little bit more about the program that we offer and what exactly Beyond Blindness is all about.